folks kind of entering into the virtual room as we move forward here, but we'll get going. So first of all, again, my name is Scott Bauer. Thank you for attending today's webinar with Sumo Logic. Today, we'll be talking about our Cloud SIEM. We'll hold the PowerPoint slides to a dull roar. I know people, when they come to a demo and there's a lot of slides on the front end of it, so I'll try to keep the slides to a dull roar and get into the product as soon as we can. But there will be some level setting from a slide point of view, just to make sure we're on the same page. Second thing, little piece of housekeeping. The chat functionality is not running, so there is no chat back and forth, but please use the Q&A panel. I will be kind of keeping an eye on it, and if a question comes in that is pertinent and needs to be answered right then during the flow of the presentation, I will step in and answer that. But if not, I will try to hold some time at the very end to answer those questions. Worst case, at the very end of it, if we don't have the time, please post the questions during the session and we will make sure we get back to you with the answers. So just a couple more minutes here and we'll get going. I'll put my glasses back on so I actually can see something here. There we go. All right, let's get going here. So, hey, again, thanks for coming in today. Wherever you are in the world, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Hopefully it's not good weekend. It's only Wednesday. So let's dive in. So what we're talking about today is how Sumo can provide, or how the current environment when it comes to cybersecurity and SIEM, what is the potential changes or what are the potential problems we're all seeing today? And then more specifically, as we dive into it, how Sumo can provide a very elegant solution that has an extremely short ramp-up time and a very quick time to value. So let's start diving in. Again, the slides we've kept to a dull roar. So first of all, here are some of the challenges. And from a background point of view, it looks like we have a good mix of folks out there that have background in cybersecurity. Some are in NetOps, DevOps, et cetera. But let's kind of just to have some ground rules here. Let's talk about some of the basic stuff that we're all seeing. So first of all, cloud adoption. We've been hearing about cloud adoption for many, many years. I've been in security and cybersecurity since, since it's been something. And over the last year and a half, the cloud adoption, the rate of cloud adoption has accelerated. Everybody was talking about this gradual ramp over time, but lovely COVID kind of threw us a curveball. So the cloud adoption, the rate of cloud adoption has far outpaced any of the budgets and the cost for actual IT spending. Close to 6 times the amount of money is being spent on moving to the cloud, deploying cloud, expanding your cloud than any other IT budget line item out there. So it's a massive issue that's going on. Most of you probably have already started that path, or maybe have already gotten to that path where you have maybe all of your applications or your environment moved to the cloud or in the process. But according to Gartner, who just, I'll pat my own back here, Gartner just named us a visionary when it came to the SIEM market. So go out and take a look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We just got named that. Gartner's saying it's going to be over a 20% increase in cloud services and cloud spending just in 2021 itself. It's going to get over $330 billion being spent. And the problem we have here is with cloud adoption, the amount of new technology, the amount of different types of applications, different ways of doing applications, different ways of consuming and distributing and delivering applications is drastically changing. So the ways that we were able to secure our environments in the past have gone. Right, and we all know that. And we all been talking about the perimeter's been dissolving and the sky's falling. A lot of vendors out there, have been talking about this for a long time, but over the last last year and a half, it really has driven that forward. So the problem you have with that, as a large portion of our groups go to the cloud, not only does the complexity of our environments significantly go up, the cost and simplicity of deployment is better, but there's an added complexity that gets added as you move there, different ways of consuming applications, et cetera, et cetera. The threat landscape has drastically changed. So it's great that we have this economy of scale and the ability to leverage a lot of these technologies and innovations. But the problem we have with the threat landscape is it is a shared fate. It's a shared phenomenon. So as you move your applications to the cloud, a fair amount of it gets the security just from the inheritance of the cloud technology, but a lot of the security is up to you. So how do you get your arms around that? How do you get your arms around the situation where you may have applications still running on premise, you haven't moved them over yet? Maybe you have cloud environments that are in Google or GCP or Azure or AWS or all three of them. I mean, we have many customers that have cloud deployments that actually leverage all three of those environments to actually help drive their digital journey to their customers. But the threat landscape has exploded. And the challenge we have here is the attackers have also gone on this journey. The attackers also know that the majority of us, the majority of the businesses have moved their applications into this new digital cloud environment. And the challenge we have now is, within reason, the attackers know the different building blocks that we're all using, right? So the attack threat landscape has significantly expanded as we've moved to the cloud adoption. And because of that, we're all hearing this alert fatigue, right? The amount of alerts that come in, we've actually seen a massive increase. 83% of the teams that we've actually talked to have said over 75% increase in the amount of alerts just by moving to the cloud itself. Because you think about it, all the different portions of your applications, whether it be Kubernetes or different network security features of the cloud environment, maybe using AWS's firewall, or you want to manage your VPCs and understand what's going on. The alert fatigue is exploding. And we've gotten to the point now where even if we could, and we talk to our customers, they would all think that, hey, if we could hire 3 or 4 more people, we could actually address all of the alerts. It's still not going to fix the problem. We can't just keep throwing bodies and doing the same thing in just more. We need a new way of looking at this. So with alert fatigue, we actually have to get to the point where not only we need to be able to reduce the number of alerts that are coming in, but we have to make the alerts more meaningful. And we have to connect the dots, so in not looking at alert by alert, and we're going to talk about this in the next coming slides, and we have to consolidate all this together. Now, we haven't even talked about DevOps or DevSecOps, and again, the terminologies and acronyms get thrown around a lot, but one of the areas that we need to work on is how do we embrace and how do we combine our technology and our processes and procedures all the way from the beginning of development through operations and security. And one of the things that you need to be able to do is manage all of this. So when we're traversing those swim lanes, we all need to be able to talk about in the same language, in the same interface, et cetera. And we'll talk a little bit more about how Sumo can actually provide that. So hopefully these three items here, these 3 talking points resonate, and we'll set a base or a platform for the rest of the conversation. And again, I'll say it again, if you have any questions, if I make a statement that you need clarification on, or if you have a question, please post it to the Q&A panel. I am watching that over on the other screen here to make sure that I'm staying on top of those. So we need a new way of doing it. So taking a step back, we need a new way of deploying and creating a solution for our SIEM. All right. So I'm relatively new with Sumo. I've been here for about 6 months now, and I've been at many custom companies that have lifted and shifted their applications to the cloud, and they think that's cloud enabled. And if we were in a room and everybody was, I can see you guys, you're probably all shaking your head or nodding your head. Just shifting your applications and shifting your management and shifting your security management into the cloud is not enough, right? We can't just shift the workload, shift the payload, shift the way we do processing of alerts, security, et cetera, into the cloud, because it's a different environment, it's a different entity. Our applications didn't just lift and shift. Our applications are embracing all these different building blocks and methods. So one of the first things that a new Cloud SIEM, we call next generation SIEM. I'm not a big fan of the next generation term because what do we call the next one after the next generation? But we won't go there right now. But what is the next Cloud SIEM solution? What are the requirements? So first of all, we need to do something about the massive amount of alerts, right? So we need to be able to take a look at those alerts and connect the dots, right? And what we call these insights, and we'll go through some of the demonstration, but we actually do contextual awareness and contextual analysis of all of the different threats, alerts, logs, metrics, et cetera, that's coming into the Sumo portal. And we connect the dots and provide to the analysts actionable insights, all right? Again, we can't just keep throwing bodies at this because the number of false positives, the amount of alerts coming in, just the sheer volume, we're never going to get to the point where we get ahead of it. And we'd all like to get ahead of it to the point where we're being more proactive, right? Right now, we're still chasing our tails to some degree. The second area is, again, this is the conversation about lift and shift. Sumo was developed in the cloud. We run in AWS. We take advantage of all of the flexibility of AWS and in the services, the expandability, the ability to scale up, scale down dynamically based on workload, et cetera. So from day one, Sumo, with our observability and our metrics platform, was built upon AWS. And with that, we have the ability to scale up or scale down efficiently based on your workload. So we actually make it much easier for our customers and more cost effective for our customers to actually consume the Sumo Logic technology without a lot of that headache. We're actually embracing and driving the cost down based on the architecture of AWS itself. So we're kind of eating our own dog food in that space. The third one in the upper right-hand side is, as I mentioned before, we're trying to get to the point where development, operations, and security all have the same common monitoring applications, portals, the ability for filtering and searching, et cetera. So if there are security issues that need to be driven down into the application or into development, we don't have to actually go from monitor, or copy and paste and having to deal or migrate all of that data load, all of the analytics on an issue. And the same thing vice versa, right? As our development teams create solutions in a very dynamic way and they move them into operations. As part of that, our security can be there from the very beginning. So the same tool and the same portal that our DevOps teams are using for the monitoring and visibility of the applications themselves, and this is the Sumo Logic operations and observability solutions, we're using the same base technology, the same base information, and we're building our security technology on top of that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the different offerings. On the lower left-hand side, we actually provide a very, we worked with several gaming companies and gaming consultants, and we came up with an interface that is actually fun to use. It's actually giving all the information that we need. It's not just a bunch of text on the screen. It's a very intuitive interface. So, you're not having to figure out, hey, how do I do something? It's all pretty much point and click, and it makes sense. And we'll dive into that. And hopefully during the demonstration, that will drive true. Excuse me. The cloud native collection detection. Again, we're built in the cloud. We're born in the cloud. We actually integrate with other threat intel sources. You get as part of the Cloud SIEM solution from Sumo Logic. We have the CrowdStrike threat feed coming in. So we actually can use that information at no additional cost for you folks. And you also can tie into third-party stuff, free stuff or open source stuff like Taxi. And we can take those taxi feeds, taxi and sticks feeds, or sticks and taxi feeds. We can bring that in. We can bring your own solutions in. Maybe you have your own security feeds in your own environment. We can actually pull that information from a threat intel point of view. We can actually deploy Yara rules out of GitHub. And the last one, lower right-hand side, and this is critical. How often have we looked at a demonstration, bought a solution, and it looks great, but then the amount of time and effort and customization and knowledge to get it up and running and to get the value out of it that you want is cost prohibitive. And that's something we really focused on when we created our solution. So rapid time to value out of the box with out of the box applications. There's well over 100 different applications from many different third-party vendors that tie into the solution, all out of the box when you first bring the solution up and running. So here are the different offerings, and I'll do a high level on this because from a time point of view, I want to spend again the majority of the time in the demo. But if you think about this from left to right, these are basically building blocks. So on the left-hand side, as part of our observability and part of our analytic engine, we have the capability to have a full breadth of audit and compliance solutions. So out of the box, PCI compliance, all the different compliant rules and regulations that you may need to pursue. We have those under the audit and compliance, right? So we have the listing on our website of all the latest, greatest certifications and attestations, and you can go take a look at those if you want to. Again, rapid time to value on the audit side of the house. Just by ingesting the data into Sumo Logic, which is very easy to do, we have the ability to roll out and show very quickly a lot of the reports needed to be compliant. The second one in is security monitoring analytics. So this is actually taking the logs and taking the information and actually taking some machine learning and AI and looking at the data. And now we can actually provide visibility into the threat landscape itself. All right, so this is what if I want to start getting into, monitoring over a period of time, certain activities or certain filters. That's what you would do within security monitoring analytics. And again, we build as we go across here, right? So we take that information, we enrich the data, we do a lot of analytics on the back end. As I said before, we tie into CrowdStrike as one of the Intel feeds. You can pull more into there if you'd like. The third one in, Cloud SIEM, this is where the demo is going to be today. Cloud SIEM is our continuous correlation. So we basically have the ability to look at the contextual analysis of all the different threats and information coming in, being able to pivot on that, define what entities we need to worry about. And an entity could be an IP address, a domain name, a user ID, there's many different entities. But we actually stitch all those entities together with the logs and analytics to come up with what we call insights. And I'll cover that in the demonstration. And on the right-hand side, we've recently released Cloud SOAR. All right, so that is the fourth piece of our security pillar here. So Cloud SOAR is the ability to, based on the information we've gathered out of Cloud SIEM and monitoring analytics, I can now create repeatable automated procedures and policies to help drive down the workload and the fatigue that our customers and our analysts have to deal with. So enough with the slide. Let's start getting into the actual demonstration itself. So let me get out of here and go full screen on there. All right. So this is a portal. It's not a portal that I was used to before coming over into Sumo. This is the HUD. This is the heads-up display that we are showing all the different aspects very quickly at a high level of our SOC. Or a lot of times our customers will actually put this up on the big screen in their SOC if there is still a physical SOC. But this is the portal. On the upper left-hand side, and this is where the true value of the basis of where we start with the Sumo technology. On the upper left-hand side, we have records coming in. And this is what you're used to today. This is the logs coming in off of your Windows servers. It's the logs coming in from firewalls, events coming in from EDR, et cetera, et cetera. So we have this massive amount of records coming into our environment. And here we're showing in the last 12 hours, we have 4 million records that have come in. Well, obviously there's no way I can look at 4 million records. That's not even, everybody understands that. The next piece is I take that 4 million records and I analyze those, and I actually look at the information provided around them, and we actually drive those down into signals. We weed out the noise, we weed out the duplications, we remove all of the noise, but still, even then, from 4 million, we went down to 41,000 signals. Again, one of our technologies, and one of the discussions we had earlier is, hey, we have alert fatigue. Well, it's still 41,000 alerts in 12 hours. That's still insane. The last one is the critical 5 insights. So what an insight is I take the information around signals, and we take that information, and based on an entity, we connect the dots. So instead of having 41,000 unique signals, which are probably indications of compromise, threats, et cetera, we tie together and normalize the data into what we call insights. And we'll step a little bit into that in a couple of seconds. The second thing down the left-hand side is insight metrics. So this is something that we've been having issues with, the industry's been having issues with, is, how long has a activity or event been running in my network before I actually popped it up as an insight. So that's the detection. So right now, my average is 6 days from an IOC before I detect it and roll it up into an insight. After that, from a response point of view, how many minutes did it take for an analyst to pick it up and start working on it? And then how quickly can we remediate it? All right, so that's the 3 icons. And a lot of times the manager likes to see this. So this is demo data. So hopefully the 0 seconds on remediation, take that with a grain of salt. There's a lot of demo data in here. The next layer down is the number of new insights, in progress, closed, and other. So again, this is the main dashboard that our customers will take a look at as they drive into here. On the lower left-hand side, we have a good map of, hey, how many insights have been created and how many have been closed. Again, we have one portal, one dashboard that we can see all this information. In the middle, this HUD, we have the capability of seeing the total number of, the total number of records being ingested. And that's this kind of like the blue kind of bar on the outside here. In the middle is the number of insights. But the critical thing that we want to take a look at are these triangles. Red basically says it's new. Orange means it's being worked on. So if I look over on the left-hand side, I got 4 new and 1 being worked on, right? So there could be an overlay on some of these insights in here. So let's dive into an insight. From a time point of view, let's dive into and see what we can do here. So I can either click on an insight on the triangle, or on the right-hand side, I can look at the most recent insight that has bubbled up, right, on the right-hand side here. Or let's take a look at the insights themselves in a different way. So if I click on insights, now this could be the way that the SOC analyst comes in and starts their dashboard, their day. On the left-hand side, we have the number of new insights that have come in. In the middle are the ones in progress. So if I select any one of these, I can start to dive down in here. So the end-to-end information that we have on this one insight, it started about 13 days ago. It's been built up out of 5 signals. It has a high severity, and because we are actually monitoring globally across all of our customers worldwide, we have a level of global confidence that says, you know what? This is a new ransomware attack that's global across the world, or a new attack that's going against a specific industry or vertical. But let's dive in here and see what we got. So if I go in here, on the right-hand side in this map, we have the different feeds, or the contextual feeds that build up together to create this insight. So we have, here's the 5 we talked about earlier. And the vertical axis is the severity of the alert. And the horizontal axis is when did it come in. So if I scroll down here, we can see, and then this is the connective tissue. This was I was saying before. Instead of just getting alerts saying guard duty alert, unauthorized access happened, right? That's tied with the entity Rico Dynamite. Right, so Rico Dynamite is our entity that we're actually tying all of the security IOCs for this environment. And what's also really cool is we tie this to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So if you're a company that has pursued the MITRE ATT&CK framework, you actually can take a look at that and drive it down that direction. So scrolling down here, right, this is severity 3, a severity 5. And what we do is we add up these severities in this contextual chain across that entity to bubble up and give us the overall severity itself. So maybe one of these by themselves, maybe the severity 2, that wouldn't be enough to get my concern. But because that is chained together with the other entities in here, a severity 3, a severity 5, etc., it has now been marked as a high. So I can go in here and actually select any one of these and dive in deeper. From a time point of view, we don't have the time today to drive into that into detail. But on the left-hand side, we actually can go in and look at the actions. So if I click on the down or on the actions, all right, I can actually assign this or send it back to AWS for analysis. I can link it into, if I have an existing SOAR, like a Demisto or a Phantom, I could tie it into there. Microsoft Teams and Slack also had tight integrations. So right from here, I can take action and drive the process forward. One of these is block a user. It's going to be when the Cloud SOAR is there, right? But I can tie those events in there. When I'm all done with that, I can actually go and close that insight. So summarize, this is the value, right? So instead of being inundated with 4 million records that have no rhyme or reason, it's just the fire hose that we're all dealing with. We actually take that fire hose, we weed it down to what signals we should worry about. And then from those signals, again, we drive them into insights. Those insights are very easy to pursue and visually see here. I can click on any one of these and drive in deeper. Now, again, remember, all of this information, all this interface also ties back into our observability and monitoring and analytics of the Sumo technology and the Sumo platform itself. So if I go over here, so there was a question, is SIEM an additional service to purchase and how to enable it? So yes, SIEM is an additional purchase. So as you buy your base solution from Sumo and then you add the SIEM on top of that. How to enable it is basically you'll get the feature keys or the flags will be set up. You'll get the access to it, and we'll provide some basic hands-on training as you move your way in there. Also, what's built into the solution is training in the portal itself, so you actually can get hands-on training within the portal, as well as the full-blown demo and the manuals themselves. All right, so I'm looking around here, seeing what other events or any other questions we have. Do you hold on one second here? All right. So anyway, get back to my slides. So where do we go next? So kind of tying into the question we just talked about, how do you get started with this? Well, when you first start up, professional services, right? The standard advanced quick starts, again, that can be integrated with the actual purchase of the solution. You can actually layer in premium support. So if you want a dedicated TAM or technical account manager that help you with the onboarding and support, you can actually purchase that as well. But the third one, and we didn't really talk about this in the dashboard itself, we have what we call SecOps or special operations. This is a team that actually you give access to your environment. Well, it's part of our multi-tenant environment already, and we are part of your team. So we'll be monitoring your insights as they come in. We'll be triaging and helping you and driving to closure the insights as they come in and helping you drive the actions you need to take care of those. So those are the different layers that we have from a services point of view. All right, so grab this QR code if you want some more information. Is the pricing based on volume of logs received or endpoints? Pricing is based on a consumption model. It's not based by endpoints at all. So that is basically looking at the technology. You have different buckets that you purchase. So you have again, we're dealing with AWS, and so you have the more expensive live stuff that you can grab and look at information. Then there's 3 other tiers from a metrics point of view or a bucket point of view. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much. With this, I'm going to be closing out. And thank you so much for the time today. I think in the information provided, you will get my email address. So if you have any other further questions or if you want to follow up with anything, please send me an email. It's sbower, S-B-O-W-E-R, @sumologic.com. And with that, we're running out of time. And I appreciate the time today. Thank you so much for giving us a half hour of your time, and that'll be it for the day.